Alhamdulillahi wahdah wa salatu wa salamu ala man la nabiyya ba'da amma ba'd. So we've been going through the book called Nur Ul Idaah, the light of clarification, which is the main text in Hanafi Fiqh. It gives you ruling about all five things, five essential basic things, which is tahara, and then salah, zakah, saum, and hajj. So we started off with tahara. Now we come to a point where Imam is explaining the issues around well. It might not be as relevant to our practice today in the modern time because we do not live in the village, but we may come across a situation while traveling that we have well, and the time can change. So why scholars teach about it and discuss about these things? Number one, it is the adab of the book. Whatever book we are covering, we just go through from beginning to the end without skipping things, because there's a blessing in that. This book written about 1,000 years ago, still being read, 700-800 years ago, still being read widely in every madrasa where Hanafi fiqh is taught, regardless of whoever they are, Arabs and non-Arabs. So this is so much of a maqbool thing, so much of a accepted text that, alhamdulillah, is perhaps the most widely read and taught. So we should stick with that so that we get the blessing of the book itself, inshallah ta'ala, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second is this ilm, whatever ilm is there in Sharia, has a purpose, has a value. You never know what would happen in future. You don't know what would come in future. So if there was no one learning this stuff now, thinking that we don't need it now, what would happen 10 years time, God forbid, if we are back in the Stone Ages, as there a lot of fear about Third World War or nuclear war or whatever, God forbid, may Allah save us all from all that calamity. Whatever happens, there should be enough people to know the basics so that they can help people out, inshallah ta'ala. So don't consider anything insignificant when it is done, within the Sharia boundary, within the way the scholars have guided us, inshallah ta'ala, that will be beneficial. So anyway, so just spend 10-15 minutes on this and we're done. So wells and its purification. All the water is to be withdrawn from a small well if an impurity falls in, even if the impurity is small, such as a drop of blood or alcohol. So a small well tends to be small anyway. They're not going to be 10 by 10 cubits. They're not going to be big enough. So if there was a drop of urine, drop of blood, it would impurify it. You have to take it all out. This rule excludes a small dung. Yeah, the animal dropping being the sheep, camels dropping. Why? Because this has been unavoidable normally in a desert area. You have animals going through it, especially in the olden days. And that's why Sharia has given us this allowance. And what is not allowed, we'll come to that in a minute. All the water is to be withdrawn if a pig falls in the water, even if it comes out alive and its tongue did not touch the water. Like head was out, it fell and only the body and then this little bit of his body, fine. That would impurify or, it would just defile all the water. Why? Because najasul ayn, the pig is najas from every part, in every sense and every respect. What about dog, sheep, and human? If they die in the well, then the water is to be withdrawn, all the water to be withdrawn. You have to empty it and get it all purified that way. We'll come to that how. All the water is to be drawn out if there is a dead, bloated animal inside the water, even if it is a small animal, because its filth has now spread in the water, given the fact that it is bloated, which indicates that it has been there for a while. Unlike animal dying and you just take it out before it becomes bloated and swollen and ruptured. If it is not possible to withdraw all the water, then it is necessary to expel 200 average size buckets of water from the well. 200 bucket average size, not too big, not too small. Average, whatever is the average of the society, is a customary thing. It's dependent on how people look at that. So you need to find out sensible person in the community say what is average there. If, however, a chicken, cat, or something of the like this size dies in the water, then 40 buckets must be withdrawn. If they die, not swollen, talking about only when they die. If a rat dies, which is smaller now, or something similar to it, like a sparrow, then 20 buckets are to be withdrawn. And this action of taking out of the water purifies the wool. Likewise, buckets, rope, and the hand of the person cleaning the well. Already answering the question that, okay, I've taken 20 buckets out because a sparrow died in there, thrown it out, 20 buckets out. Then what about the bucket itself and the rope and the hand? If my hand got a little bit wet by pulling it out, and then because I got, soil as well, doesn't matter. Once 20 is out, you consider clean. So animal dies in the well and doesn't decay or swell. Small, like mouse, remove 20 buckets. Medium, like pigeon, 40 buckets. Large, like sheep, or the carcass became bloated and fragmented, then you have to remove all of it. If you can't remove all of it, why can't? Because you keep taking it out and it keeps filling in. Some wells are like that. They have constant supply. They continue to. So then 200 buckets. Okay, that's easy. The water of the well is not made impure with the dung of camels, sheep, horses, mules, donkey, and cows, unless it is a large quantity, which is visible, and unless there is a situation that in every bucket that you take out, there is enough dung. Then it means it's so much. It has just covered it all. It's like so many. Otherwise, some of that is fine. Why? If Sharia does not allow that, it will be problematic. What are the implications? We'll come to that in a minute. Likewise, the dropping of pigeons or sparrows do not ruin the water because they are lawful animal to eat, and their dropping is considered pure. You do not need to worry about that. Now, there's disagreement whether the dropping of hawk, crow, which are haram, if the haram crow I'm talking about, then what? So there's a difference of opinion. Some allow, some don't allow. The death in water of a thing that does not have blood flowing through its body does not render the water impure, such as fish, frog, aquatic creature, mosquito, fly, wasp, scorpion, all of that. They haven't got blood in them. They die in the water, it's fine, don't worry. Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah's view is that it does pollute the water as well for them. For Hanafis, it doesn't, alhamdulillah. There's a difference of opinion, and in that difference of opinion, there's khayr, there's a barakah. As they say, ikhtilaf ummati rahmat, according to some saying of the pious people. The ikhtilaf of this ummah has goodness in it. Because then you can opt for the one that suits your situation, not following your whims and desire, but rather following the command of, or the fatwa of one of the scholars in that situation. Many a time they would say, okay, you shouldn't do that, but in your situation, it will be undue hardship, duress, tough time. I would allow you this time only to go for that. It's okay for you, not ever again, and don't tell others. It's only for you. That's your individual prescription. You can only do that if there was difference of opinion. If it was only one thing, then you had to stick to that one strict opinion. That is why these leeways are very, very beneficial, only in a dire situation, only by the mufti scholars, top-level scholars, not individual themselves. In addition, the water is not ruined with the falling of human into the well or falling of that which is lawful to eat, provided it comes out alive and there was no filth present on the body when it fell in. If we jumped inside the water and came out without any trouble, then provided my clothes were not soiled, I haven't got any impurity on my body. Likewise, the water is not ruined with the falling of a mule, donkey, and predatory bird of prey, into the well, provided they exit the water alive, and this is the soundest view. Means there's another view as well, but this is the soundest view, alhamdulillah, safest view. Maybe other, but this is soundest one. If the saliva of the animal touches the water, then the water is judged according to the animal. Meaning, if the saliva from a sheep touches the water, then what? Sheep is halal. It's pure. But if the saliva was that of a dog, then we have to assess the water according to the dog, which would make the water filthy, because the saliva of dog is impure. Okay, based on the animal. If there's a dead animal in the water and no one knows how long it has been there for, it renders the water impure for 1 day and 1 night, meaning the people must repeat 1 day and night of prayer before it, which they did after performing wudu from that water from the well. So you found out the dead in the well, or you don't know when that particular pigeon fell in the water and died. I don't know. So you have to repeat 1 day prior prayers, all the prayer that you prayed in the last 24 hours with that wudu. If you did it from other water, that's fine. But if you did it from this water, then you have to repeat it. If the animal is bloated and swollen, then the water is ruled impure for 3 days and 3 nights if no one knows when the animal fell in. If you knew exactly when it fell, then obviously you just from that time onwards, 1.5 days, for example. But if you didn't know and the animal bloated, then it means that, well, it's considered that it has been there for 3 days, roughly, because that's the rough estimate that it would take to bloat. So meaning the people must repeat the 3 days and 3 nights of prayers, 15 prayers they have to do. They use this water to make wudu, okay, or even ghusl. And that's it. Easy, simple, but enough to know as just a background. But inshallah, if there was a situation, God forbid, like this to anyone, they can ask the scholars of the time, inshallah. May Allah give us tawfiq. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.